Following Mallet disease, which was a devastating oyster disease, in New Brunswick it hit in the late 50s. And we essentially lost the wild fishery. And at that point, we really turned to aquaculture as a way to rebuild oyster production. And my grandfather was involved in those first efforts to essentially establish an aquaculture industry. And that's where the company was sort of founded. And my father continued on. He did a PhD in oyster genetics, and part of that work involved hatchery work on PEI. At that time was the Ellerslie field station. So he's been interested in oyster genetics and breeding oysters since before I was born, and that sort of naturally translated to a commercial hatchery and ship again once the industry here in New Brunswick was sort of developed enough to support that. To develop MSX-resistant oysters, we're really going to be relying on a variety of techniques, sort of traditional breeding approaches, and then also with the incorporation of these genomic tools.
These are our broodstock for this year. We've been selecting these oysters for fast growth, but also sort of superior shape and weight, so production traits. We fully expect that the alleles for MSX and dermal resistant are hiding in this tank somewhere. Through the genomic work that we've already been doing, we know that this population has a lot of variability, very comparable to wild population. And that's because they've been crossbred from oysters all throughout the coast of New Brunswick. We've also been doing wild population genomic work at the same time, and we know that they're essentially, very closely related to PEI oysters as well. So we expect that they have the alleles to be able to do well across the Gulf region, and then also that we should be able to breed for resistance with this stock.
Ultimately, oysters will only be able to thrive if they're resistant to MSX. And so hatcheries provide one pathway towards accelerating and establishing the development of that resistance, putting it in the hands of growers as soon as possible.